everybody. It's Love and Law, episode 15. Charles and Tessa here today. And thank you so much for joining us. I know it's only week 2 in the new year, so it's week 2 that you guys are seeing us, but obviously we just filmed the last episode and we had a conversation that we wanted to continue in, so we decided to just kind of keep rolling and have this conversation with you guys, I guess, to get some feedback. And what we were talking about was spousal contribution and what's fair. And I guess the 3 areas that we were discussing was child rearing, chores, and finances. And when it comes to being married or being in a couple, those are the things that most people share the most. And I think even in our law firm, that's one of the things that I feel like I counsel couples through the most when someone's getting a divorce. Our spouse, our client, I'm not counseling the couple. I'm only talking to our client who's a part of a couple, obviously. And it's one of the biggest arguments that they have about not sharing finances, or the communication when it comes to co-parenting, or the lack of communication when it comes to what each other's expectations are. And it just leads to a lot of issues. So I wanted to just continue in that conversation about spousal contributions and what is fair. We see it differently sometimes on what each other should do. Like any other couple, we'll have our different disagreements about parenting. When it comes to parenting, what is your perception on what it is that you think we should or should not be doing as far as sharing responsibilities when it comes to parenting?
I mean, it's different, I think, for each kid. It's different for the gender of the kid. It's different for the role that we play.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you need to have a baseline of what is expected and kind of go from there. Because it's no matter how many couples we talk to, husbands and wives that have been married for 2 years or 15, 20 plus years, the husbands will still say, when it comes to, I feel like predominantly the men will say, oh, she says I don't help enough with the kids. And the women will usually say, feel like he doesn't help enough with the kids. And it's a difference of, somewhat a difference of opinions. In some situations, yes, the fathers can be doing more, at least in my situation. No, there was times I definitely could have been doing more. But then there's also times that I feel like what I'm doing is being taken for granted. So it's just having an understanding and a baseline.
Taken for granted if they're your kids, or they're kids.
It's
Taken
being
for granted by
discounted.
who?
Because it's being discounted for what I may have done. You may say, well, you're not helping enough with the kids. And I felt like, well, hey, when I'm going to do these errands, or if I'm going to the taking them to a doctor's appointment, or I am going to get the medication when they're sick, I feel like that's me doing my part, and that's helping with the kids. And you may feel like, okay, well, what about the homework that you didn't help them with, or the getting them out the door? So I'm saying my contribution is being minimized or taken for granted. Maybe not taken for granted wasn't the correct choice of words. It's being minimized. When I was tired, I didn't feel like doing that. And I understand you didn't feel like helping with the homework, or doing some other aspect of it, but
I think when me and you get into arguments about the kids, it's when, I think for me, the totality of the kids is a whole thing. Like, you'll say, oh, I didn't feel like going to get the medicine. Okay, and you feel like your contribution was going to get the medicine because the child was sick. But I feel like my contribution is I'm up with them for the two days while they're sick, and I'm up with them all night long. So going to drive to the store to get the medicine and come back is the least that you can do, but you're going to get the medicine and coming back is 30 minutes. But I'm up with them all night long doing, like, taking care of the sick child. But then the next day, while they're still in that recovery phase, I'll have to go to court, back when I was in court, and you would be the one to take them to the doctor. And I didn't take them to the doctor as much because you work 24 on and 48 off as a fireman. And so getting to that place where we kind of fell out of the traditional roles took a little longer. It took a little longer, in my opinion. It took a little longer for us to kind of get to the place where we just did what needed to be done. But that used to be a very sore spot, a hot spot. And there's times now where I would get irritated. We'll get ready to go somewhere, and you'll get up and you'll get ready. And you'll say, I'm ready. And I have to get me together and 3 kids. And you'll be ready to go out the door. And you'll ask me, do I need help with them? And I will remind you all the time, no, I'm dressed. I can dress myself. They need help. You're not helping me to get them dressed. You're helping them. Like you will say it in a way that like you're doing me a favor to help get them dressed. You're not doing me a favor like it's my job by myself to do. And that's what we will kind of get into. The okay, well, I'll take Charles to school. I'll take our son to school. And I'm like, okay, but did he have his did he have his allergy medicine? Did he
But the
have
flip
this? Did he
side
do
to that
this? Did he?
I think I'd have done something. I'd have put their little outfit and I put the girls the bows in their head, and then you come behind me and say, "Why'd you put them on that? Why's the parts crooked?" Look, I got them dressed, regardless of what I put them in. And if you have something to say more than, all right, they ready to go, I put them in what I thought was appropriate. I did their hair the best that I could. And at the time that you say I didn't do it right, well, then, okay, what can I do to help you with the kids?
Before they were girls. Now I can understand what you're saying about these little cricket ponytails. I'll give you that one. But when it comes to Charles, there was no ponytails to get dressed. He's a boy. You can help get him ready. He's ready to go out the door. He don't have allergy medicine, don't have a book bag, don't have a snack, don't have this, don't have that. And you and him both on your way out the door, like, where is he going? And the thing that would be most frustrated about it is because you take a lot of time with your appearance. But he'd be coming out the house looking like a wayward child. And he'd be like, come on, boy, let's go to school. And I'm like, no, you're not leaving out here looking like that. And I will stop and get him together so that he looks as presentable as you look on the way out the door. And you will, let's go. I take him to school. I'm like, okay, but what about the getting him ready, make sure he ate breakfast and doing all this stuff to just take him? And
And sometimes it is a clear. It didn't cross my mind. Didn't. And you say, oh, you didn't brush his hair. I didn't brush my hair either. But
because he has locks, so you would not walk out this house.
Regardless of the reasons that I'm saying, this is how I feel. And again, we have the differences of opinions, and this is some of what brought us here to the conversation. Mm-hmm. So, again, I may feel one way and she feels differently. She says I take a long time getting ready and I feel differently. Nonetheless, coming up with a baseline of what the expectation is and everybody seeing that same thing and carrying it through. But having that understanding, that's difficult in itself because we're just talking about the kids. We haven't even talked about the finances or the household workload and so on.
I think with all of it, the biggest thing is the flexibility. Because even when it comes to the kids, as much as I can say all of that, we had three daughters with braces at the same time. I think I might have taken them to one appointment, and you were the one that took them to every appointment. And they were scheduled so that you can take them on your day off because you had braces. All y'all had braces together. So, but their appointments were not on the same day as yours.
Never were.
And you went separately to take them to all the ortho appointments, or.
But the other part too that I feel like, and maybe it could be me, when it comes to the how the child rearing goes and the household chores, and I could be wrong. I feel like men don't voice their opinions about that as much.
I think you're talking about you. I don't think that's true of all men. You're talking about you and your communication style. You're just not going to voice your opinion about most things until you get to the point that you're upset and mad. You just kind of whatever. He's just real laid, calm back, go with the flow, kind of whatever. It's not that big a deal. Like he's a very easygoing person until he's not. And so when you're mad, it's a rah, 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 rah. But anything but it's either 0 or 100. And most of the stuff in between, you don't care. When we met, I remember when we first started dating, you used to tell me that I was anal. I don't think is the word you were using, but you were like, the way that you clean and the way that you straighten up and the way that you put up towels or groceries and stuff was kind of overkill. Like,
Because you were telling me your shirts need to go in this drawer and the towel need to be like this. And my thought was, it's clean, it's going in this area. It's clean, it's going over here. Now, I did like how you put the pants and the shirts on one side of the closet. I was like, look, I'm hanging them all up. They in here, I'll figure it out. She's like, your pants should be here and your shirt should be here. And I was like, huh, okay, I see that. But you talking about these towels that's in the closet that ain't nobody else gonna see? Or my t-shirts and socks? Should nobody else be looking in this drawer on how it looks but you? And I'm sorry that it bothers you, but we're not going.
I mean, it didn't bother me. I'm just saying it was just the expectations and being flexible. And so now you do your drawers how you want to do yours, and I do mine the way I want to do mine. But just the expectations, and you don't put up my clothes, please. And I can put up your clothes, but
And
he's
I'm gonna
gonna.
put up her clothes.
And then I'm looking for things forever because
And
I
she
can't
getting mad,
find
and I
it.
don't care because the clothes have been sitting here this amount of time, so I'm gonna put them up. You gonna
Charles
just
has
put.
an obsession with doing laundry. He loves to do laundry.
I don't
I
like doing
think you
laundry. I don't
wash
like to see.
clothes
I don't
every
like
day.
to see dirty laundry. I don't like. I don't want dirty laundry, bro. For some, if that works, I don't want to see it.
So outside of chores, speaking of another chore, well, I guess that's parenting, but so we're going to chores. How do you think that the chore should be divided? Should it be 50-50?
I mean, ideally, you want it to be 50-50, but a marriage is not 50-50. Some days it's 90-10. Some days it's 60-40. I would like to think that, hey, this week I might have did most of the laundry or all of it. Next week, next month you might do it. Or you just like, look, because really I'm not doing no dishes. That's just kind of what it is. I don't like doing dishes, and I'm not. I'll do them, but that ain't. I have childhood trauma about dishes. But hey, I'll do something else. I'll do the laundry. So you saying should it be 50-50? Maybe it should be 50-50, but at the same time, your thing might be the kitchen. Mine might be washing the cars and the
On average,
mopping.
how do you think we divide our chores?
Honestly, I don't even care. Get done.
But to answer a question, how do you think that we do our chores when it comes to cleaning our house? Do you think you do more or less or equal?
I do more of the cleaning, keeping the house straight when it comes to the house getting clean, like it's thorough, and the deep cleaning. Oh, she do all that. I just keep it decent.
It's so interesting when
No,
yeah. I think now you do more of the tidying up. Is that what you mean? Tidying up.
yeah. When you say it's time to get cleaned up, like oh, we need to really. I ain't trying to do all that because you be trying to. It's too organized, and I'm not. Mm-mm. So she'll probably say I
I
don't
think
have
you
that.
do the I think you do like the general tidy stuff, but I think I clean. You straighten up and I clean. It's a difference, but you straighten up a lot more than I do. And but it's interesting because what has started to happen is when I get nose deep dive into working, that's when you go tidy up. You'll walk out and leave me, but you're like, I don't want to just sit down and watch TV because she's working. So when I start working, you'll
You
go
need to be doing something.
you will
I need to.
go
That's not okay. I mean,
do something.
because the way that it works, the stuff that you're doing, some of it I may not know how, and then the other part is I'm thinking I don't know if I want to ask what you're doing because that's a question that you don't really want to know the answer to, or you're already slightly anxious and agitated, and I'm not trying to be in that space, so I'm gonna go over here and start cleaning up.
Yeah, I'd be head down, knee deep into
Yeah,
a
I'm not. I'm not. And you
serious
want to you,
process.
and I can get you one or two questions, but you were again, like you said, tunnel vision locked in, and if I give you 5 minutes of it, you're like, all right, come on. And then the fact that I done went off top, I'm not about to get involved in that. So I'm gonna do something else productive in the house that will help move the needle, or at least I won't trip over something trying to get away.
Financially, how do you think that we share financial responsibility?
Well, the fact that I'm not an attorney, it's gonna always be a little bit different at this stage. Even as I got promoted to the fire department, when you say financially, okay, let's say my salary's less than six figures and yours is more than six figures. Then that means financially, if you make 150 and I make 75, well, clearly you have 75 of disposable income opposed to I don't. Now, if we say, all right, well, we're going to just say you pay, 75% of your paycheck and I pay 75% of my paycheck, everybody might not agree with that. I'm working just as hard for mine as you are for yours, but then it's sometimes um, how that other person may make the spouse is making less money feel about it, that's a whole nother conversation in itself. So I mean, I don't know. I don't financially that again. I don't know how everybody pays their bills, but where we are, if I was at the fire department still and I was on the upper end of a salary, you still would be making significantly more than me. So I don't. That's something that the two y'all need to be comfortable with.
Who's y'all?
Whoever's watching this and saying, "See that you need to be comfortable with that." I don't know how to.
I just don't think finances have ever been our issue. If when we had a joint bank account before we got married,
That our salaries weren't as
far apart.
far apart, and even again, when I left and went to the fire department and I got promotions and I moved up, you still made twice what I made.
But it was crazy when we first started dating. We shared bank accounts before we got married, and our salaries when we first started dating were within 10,000 of each other probably. But now, mind you, you had a lot more disposable income than I did because you had one kid.
With the raises that you got with each with
I was just starting out as an attorney.
in every 2 to 3 years, it started. The gap became bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
Which,
But even when the gaps weren't different, we always still shared accounts. We've never had separate accounts. We've always had joint accounts. We still have joint accounts. We still both drive whatever we can afford is all one pot. So it's never been this is mine, I made this, whatever. We travel together, we drive together, we eat together, we shop together. So it's never been that's never been necessarily our our struggle. I think for us, the sharing.
for us, it's been, you want it, baby, get it, and that's where
Yeah, we got to work that out. We got to work on that better because we both.
You want it? if you say you want it, and there's a way for me to get it, bad credit decision and all, I'm gonna make sure that you have it. Just because you can pay for it doesn't mean that you can afford it. But if she said she wanted it and it's in my ability to get it, regardless of the situation, I was going to try to make sure that you had it. So I don't, I don't think we have. There are some things that we like that are nice things that are expensive, but there's also a lot of those expensive things I can go without. I can do it on a
Yeah, we
different
get into a
scale.
point now where we do that, but we definitely went through a point, especially for me, not ever having money, got a little bit of money, and I just felt like if I wanted it, I was going to have it. And it wasn't always smart choices like, oh, I want that car, and I want this car, and I want to go this place and do this thing. And so now you've done it, kind of went through it, and now on the other side of that, trying to be in a place where now the things that I want are like investments and commercial property.
But when you say the finances, I mean, I know people
Mm-hmm.
that they've always had separate bank accounts.
Mm-hmm. I think the majority of our clients have separate bank accounts.
But I've also known people that, along with those separate bank accounts, have blended families.
Mm-hmm.
And those blended families, you spend your money on yours, and it just, we came together, so it might as well all be together. And at the point that we start to separate those things, now we're creating but I mean, but that's that. It doesn't work for everybody, but that's just how I feel. We're either all in this or we're not. And the part that we start separating it out, it just, to me, is problematic already with that thought.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with people having separate accounts. I think some people, if we had separate accounts, I think having separate accounts, it in some ways, it kind of drives everybody to be their best self and not kind of take advantage of the other person. And where there are people where we have the same account and you know the bills are going to get paid, then you can spend more freely because you're not the one that's putting it in there. And you don't ever have to, work that overtime or go for that promotion. You can kind of.
So how do you decide? But how do you decide then? Again, if one person makes 50 and another one makes 100, how do you? Because if our bills,
It's not just the it's not the money. It's not just the money. I mean, it's not just the salary. What I'm saying is, if I was a teacher and I made 50, I don't know. Let's just keep the math simple. If I was a teacher and I made 50, and you were whatever, and you made an engineer and you made 100, I'm not saying that I have to make as much as you make. For me, it would be very important that your drive and your effort matches. If you are a teacher
That's fair.
and you are just, oh, I'm just gonna chill. You know what? I'll make it even simpler.
But does it
Let's
change when the
just,
genders change with that same
well,
scenario?
no, it wouldn't. Let's just make it even more simple because this is, I think, a better analogy. Let's say that I work in fast food and I get a job at McDonald's and I get hired as a cashier. It would be important to me that I'm trying to level up and then go to fries and then go to making the sandwiches and a shift manager and then running the store. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't care if you made 50, but like when you started at the fire department, you went from a firefighter to an EMT to a sergeant to a lieutenant. It's the growth and the working on your career and not just coming in at the bottom and 15 years later you still in the same place.
Agreed.
Then I would feel like
But
that's
I wouldn't even
cool.
want to be with nobody that's
But
comfortable
that's
with
not
that.
the question though. But I'm just
Understood.
saying if that is what you're doing, then I don't think it would be fair to me for me to work my butt off. Let's just say that. For me to work my butt off for us to have a lifestyle and you're spending like I'm spending, but you're not putting in the effort at your job to get the things that you want. If you're getting these nice cars and trips and these, buying all these nice toys and things for yourself, but you're not putting in the effort. Because to me, I'm gonna work for what I want. And as long as we're both working hard at whatever we're doing, then we're good. We're equal. The money don't have to match. For me, the effort needs to match.
Mm.
And that's it. Like you said, when we worked together for 4 years and you went to the fire department and you're moving up in your profession and I'm moving up in my profession, the salaries didn't matter. And what you were doing and putting it in the pot and I'm doing, we put it in the pot and then we can do it together. But had you been at the fire department and 10 years later you hadn't even taken the EMT and you hadn't gotten any promotion, but you're like, oh, let's go here and let's go buy this and I want this new car. You will need to live in your means and live with your effort. You make C effort, you live a C life. If I'm putting in all of this extra effort to live the way I want to, no, your effort gonna have to match my effort. But to your point earlier, I don't think that we would be together if I didn't feel like your effort was going to match my effort. It's not your money that needs to match, but your effort. It's important to me to be with someone that has some level of drive. Now, at this point, I am an attorney by education, but I'm not a litigator anymore. I'm not in court. So, right now, we run the business together. So, it's not necessarily a situation where my income is more than your income. We have one income truly, total owner benefits, and it's our income. So, we're in a place now where we make this amount of money. It's not your salary and my salary. This is what we make. And it's not because the fire department's paying you and the prosecutor's office is paying me by us having this business together. We have one set of income together that we both contribute 100% to. So I just think, I don't know that there's ever going to be a time where people are equal. And I was talking to one of our daughters about it too. And I think she had some frustration about feeling like she was carrying the other side a little bit more than she thought was fair. And I had to tell her to humble her, humble herself just a little bit because
Seasons for
it
everything.
is absolutely a season for everything. And just because you're carrying a little bit now, there will come a time where he's going to carry you. Live long enough, you're going to go through those seasons where sometimes you're on top and that person's on top, and you'll do 80% of the cooking and he'll do 20% of the cooking. And it's going to change. And so I don't even think it was a whole 6 months later where that flipped on its head. And she was like, yeah, I heard you. And, didn't know it was going to come around so soon. So, just don't climb so high up that mountain thinking that you're doing it because things will happen, seasons will come, and like you said at the beginning, sometimes you give 80, sometimes you give 20. Very rarely will it be 50-50.
Now I can't speak on if you've been given 80 for the last umpteen years. That's something different that you have to have those honest, transparent conversations. And sometimes I know we may have conversations 100 times in one day it makes sense. I don't know why on that 101 day it made sense, but it just happened to make sense, and now I understand where you're coming from. But it need to make sure that you keep talking about it until both people are feel like there's a resolution. And sometimes it is a long, drawn out process. I don't know.
I don't know if it's I don't know. I don't think it's a right or wrong answer. I just know in our experience and what we talk to our kids about and our clients, it's just knowing that there's no 2 days that are going to be alike, and there are days that you're going to be carrying it, and some days you're going to be carried, and having that flexibility. And when you're thinking about the outcome and the long game over the whole thing, just give grace because you too will need it, and it can be a lot. It is a challenge and a daily focus to stay on the same page, to be married. Being married is work. And it doesn't matter if you're legally married or not, but just having two adult people who are choosing to spend their life together, whether you're legally married or not, trying to mesh your parenting skills, your expectations for chores and finances and all those things together. So in my opinion, it requires a lot of talking and a lot of grace, a lot of communication, a lot of grace, a lot of flexibility, and a lot of grace. And as my cousin Brandon Stokes, your blood cousin, my cousin through marriage, I remember he told me a long time ago, and I remind you of that all the time. That he told me to just think of his intentions. I don't even know what we got on the conversation. I was just telling him it irritated me with something. It was like, well, he did it from a good place. I was like, yeah, I know that, but it still aggravated me. It's like, well, you just got to remember what his intentions were, and not what actually happened, but what was his intentions. Like, he didn't mean to go to the store and forget what he went there for or something. He didn't mean to go to the store to get you some sugar and got to the store and brought back dish detergent or whatever it was or something like, oh, I forgot I was going to get that too. It was the whole point of you going. And he was like, I just got to think it was intention. He was trying to be helpful, so you didn't have to stop and go get it yourself. Just think about his intentions. And I think that just that reminder to give grace, it landed, like you said, hearing it a lot of times, but just whatever day that day that he said that to me, it just kind of like, oh, and I think of that a lot to make the landing a lot softer. Just remembering to give grace. So,
At the end of the day, communication. Remember to give grace. Ta-da!
ta-da.
And man, at the end of the day, the relationship is never going to be 50-50. It's not going to be 50-50. And if that's the expectation that you have at the end of the day, I feel that it's not realistic. It's going to be many days where it's give and take, and the give might be a little bit more than the person that's taking, and vice versa. And as long as you can be on the same page about those things, then you're on your way.
Yeah. And just a lot of communication, a lot of hard conversations that you need to have, and let go of what your expectations is of what the other person is supposed to do, and just have some conversations and come to some terms that you both can buy into. And I think that'll get her done. But if there's anything you guys want to talk about, definitely hit us up in the comments or any of our social medias on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and let us know. Like, love, subscribe, share, follow us, all those things, and let us know what you guys are interested in talking about, because some days we have no idea what to talk about. It's true. So enjoy your day. We'll talk to you next time.
Happy New Year.
Second.
Oh.